say to me, Mike, you look at some stuff to do with history of magic, guys. The magic history of, as I say, an art form that goes back 2,000-3,000 years, guys, to ancient times, seriously. So what is the history of magic, seriously, guys? So relax now. Let's check for 10 minutes or so. Let's have a look now. The history of magic and illusion, guys, going back 2,000-3,000 years. Okay, guys, let's get this now. Extraordinary video here. I'm actually change my normal videos looking at new guys, but and old guys. But I do want to look at the history of magic, the history of the art of magic and conjuring, going back, say, 3,000 years. Seriously, guys, it's a wonderful history of this amazing art form that has ruled my life myself about 50 years. So let's look at the history of magic, guys, and conjuring. Let's go, guys. So let's say, guys, let's relax today, as I say, together, have a look now together, guys, you and me together, look at together at magic and its history kind of ways, the way magic works historically. And it's a great art, seriously, an art that's so beautiful, so fun, so amazing, of magic, seriously, going back 2,000-3,000 years, guys, to ancient times, of course. And let's have a look through, seriously, at some of the archives of magic and the great illusionist magicians that brought the art through to you guys, to millions of people over the years. Magic, actually, of course, as we know, as now we see magic nowadays. Chris Angel, we see magic nowadays, of course, so don't we, in Dynamo, we see magic nowadays, of course, people obviously Paul Daniels, people like that, of course, people like Sam Powers in Australia, many people that came around the world doing magic, seriously, many great magicians nowadays. Shimlin, of course, okay, Shimlin's really great, isn't he? And art of magic, it might look new to you, like Penn and Teller, might look new to you, but it's actually really old. A lot of magic is just dressed up. It's old stuff dressed up. That's really a lot of magic is, old stuff just dressed up for new kind of, what it is, new trends, new styles, new fashions, okay? Like clothing, magic changes quality, like music changes with fashions and ideas over the decades. So that's how magic really works, isn't it? In fact, a lot of it's really old. None of it's very new, actually. Even tricks that you might see like Lincoln rings go back 3,000 years to ancient China, and tricks like Song of a Woman and a Half go back over 100 years. So that's really good, okay? So looking at origins of magic, seriously, magic kind of began in ritual, supernatural kind of ways, okay? With spiritual ideas, and conjuring illusion goes back to deception skill, psychology, going back to ancient times, of course. And we know in ancient Egypt, for example, 1700 BC, this is 1700 BC, a long time ago, this is like 3,500 years ago, times of Tutankhamun, they were doing tricks, magicians like Deadeye in Egypt, doing tricks like decapitating, restoring animals' heads, animating wax crocodiles, amazing, animating wax crocodiles, and also stuff like performing feats before the pharaohs. And this was done probably at the time of Moses, before Moses' period, okay, early biblical times. And so magic was associated with that Deadeye 3,000 years ago, associated with kind of like real magic, wasn't it? They couldn't distinguish between real magic and trickery. Though these guys are doing tricks, a lot of the guys at the pharaohs thought these people were real magicians that really into magic, could really do magic tricks. They thought magic was real. Of course, these guys were just trickers, fakers, like them, like modern day conjurers. But we know that on the wall of the tomb of Beni Hassan in Egypt, this is a tomb goes back at 3,000 years. There's a person doing cups and balls trick on the wall of Beni Hassan's tomb in Egypt. I've been to, actually, the Valley of the Kings, southern Egypt, and that tomb has got a couple of guys doing cups and balls trick that's done by many modern magicians. Everyone from me to Di Vernon did that trick, alright, so it's a good trick, and that's done by, we know cups and balls was a game that turned into a magic trick about 3,000 years ago on the walls of the tomb of Beni Hassan in Egypt 3,000 years ago. I say magic also was situated in Greece and Rome, as also in about 2,000-3,000 years ago, performed mixed with astrologers, diviners, magicians, sleight of hand performers that were common in places like markets, street places, going back to pre-biblical times, 2,000-3,000 years ago, seriously, and that kind of stuff, seriously. But miracle makers, of course, have always been going, haven't they, as we know, and of course we know miracles are biblical. We know also they're performed by many great people. But apart from Jesus doing miracles biblically, the New Testament, the Bible, of course, we know that. We also know, of course, that many people were doing actual conjuring themselves and pretending to be actual spiritual, but they weren't really spiritual. They were conjurers, really, sleight of hand performers, So magic kind of like is not really charted very well between the period of ancient Greece and Rome and also Egypt, really. And not really that's in the Dark Ages. That's pre 1066 Dark Ages period in Europe of Vikings and that kind of stuff. So witchcraft, of course, was a big thing in medieval times, as we know. And they thought which witches were really real. Witches, whether they were real or not, they thought that maybe they were doing tricks, but they looked like they were real. And indeed, in those days, you could be hung or even dropped into streams and lakes and drowned if you were a witch in those days, in medieval times. So people used charms, talismans, herbal remedies, rituals, grimoires, books of spells and invocations secretly as witches in that period, okay? There was also a side, of course, even up to the period, up to like the 15th, 16th century, Henry VIII for that period, Elizabeth I, in courts in Europe where there were knife tricks, juggling cups and balls, disappearing objects and mechanical curiosities. That was even in the areas of entertainers and jugglers, even in the sort of Elizabethan period, okay, which is post-medieval period, okay. So we know that kind of thing went on. Also, Renaissance period as well. There was science, optics, mechanics, and the occult area was obsession of Renaissance period as well, which is about sort of 16th, 17th century eras and all of that kind of period. In fact, the first book on witchcraft, well, actually, really, it was magic. Was called Reginald Scott's 1584 book called The Discovery of Witchcraft. Discovery of Witchcraft was called. Exposed fraudulent magical practices and explained the sleight of hand methods. Ironically, it became one of the first instructional books also for magicians. So magicians used it in 1584, Reginald Scott's book, to learn magic tricks, okay? So mechanical devices, mirrors, trapdoors and automata became sophisticated in that period onwards, okay? So we're looking at that kind of period, 16th, 17th century onwards, as we know, okay? So magic went through all those kind of connotations, okay, from witchcraft. If you performed magic in, say, the medieval times, you might be labelled a witch, you might have been possibly hung or drowned or something for doing it, do you know what I mean? That's pretty bad, isn't it? If you're a witch, in England, if you're a witch, you were drowned. If you were drowned in water and you died, you were innocent. If you survived the drowning, then you were guilty, and then they would hang you. So it's pretty bad, isn't it, being a witch in medieval times, wouldn't it? Let's move on away. So the Discovery of Witchcraft was the first real, Scott's book was the first real book on magic in the area. Because it moves forward into more clearer times. 18th, 19th century, of course, we know society got more civilised, didn't it? Of course, we know there are many buildings made, architecture made in those areas, 18th, 19th century, 20th century. We know that magic, society became more civilised gradually, didn't it? Of course, we know there was more stage magic, there was illusions, electricity used in magic in the 19th century, magnetism and pseudoscience was used as well, wasn't it, as well in that period. So they kind of combined modern technology and ideas, electricity, with magic, didn't they, to do magic tricks, okay? But magic didn't really get on till really to mid 19th century in Paris with young Eugene Robert Houdin, of course, the father of modern magic. You've all heard of him. He really created modern magic. He brought elegant magic before had been a bit weird, hadn't it? Jugglers, clowns, and street guys. This guy, Robert Houdin, made magic elegant. Okay, he dressed a mystical wizard, beautiful clothing as well. Top hat and tails. He performed in theatres, he used mechanics. He refined magic into beautiful entertainment at Salon Tate in Paris, 1850s, 1860s, 1840s, that kind of period. As we know, he produced a lot of automata, Robert Houdin, including Psycho. It really was called Psycho, which is a mind-reading robot thing. It really did, okay. And that was all mechanics. I saw that television 40 years ago as a kid, actually, Psycho. But the Psycho associated, of course, with movies nowadays, isn't it? After Hitchcock, it was actually the name of a robot created by Robert Houdin in 1850s or something. So even dress, okay, sophistication became the allure of magic magicians in the 19th century. Very important thing indeed, okay. Okay, so Robert Houdin's a big figure in 19th century magic. I mean, there were other guys too that period. A guy, Eric Weiss, late 19th century, took the name Houdin and added I to be like Houdini, and he called himself Houdini. And he started performing late 19th century into early 20th century and became probably the biggest name ever in magic. He was into spiritualism, as we all know. So Arthur Conan Doyle, who wrote Sherlock Holmes, believed Houdini was a really spiritualist guy, could walk through walls and that kind of stuff. Really believed it seriously. But Houdini always claimed that magic was just trickery and spiritualism was trickery. He didn't believe spiritualism was real. He believed spiritualism was trickery and seances were all fake. Houdini believed that seriously. And he tried to expose fraudulent clairvoyance and that kind of stuff, fraudulent seances in the early 20th century as just magicians. Okay, other people weren't convinced and did think spiritualism like you do, baby, real thing. But Houdini wanted to try to trick it, and Houdini said if he could come back from the grave when he died in 1926, he would do, but he never came back to the grave. He never seemed to come back. Houdini, did he? He never came back. He died. Didn't he die on October 31st, Halloween, 1926? I think he died. So Houdini's a mythical figure in magic. Also, he created. He did. Houdini's a big figure because in the 20th century, because he created the water torture cell escape, of course, which is upside down water torture cell, escaping from milk churn, escaping from chains. He worked hard on escapes in theatres around America and Europe, from the UK, and pretty incredible stuff. Think about this years later, since I first studied Houdini in the 1980s. I studied him when I was 16, but even now, I'm 55, I'm amazed about Houdini, what Houdini did. It was amazing what Houdini did, and he did upside down escapes from ropes in the middle of New York, didn't he, in middle London, you know what I mean? And I think the milk churn escape was one of his big escapes, but he would literally be challenged, locked in a box and challenged in the theatre to escape from anything at all, handcuffs, chains, whatever, and he'd escape from them. So Houdini's a massive figure in magic, and there's a whole book to write about Houdini, as it is. That period, though, in the early 20th century, magic moved into more theatrical situations with levitations, vanishings, song illusions, escapes, and also elaborate stage machinery. And we know that theatres 120 odd years ago had very big machinery, like Phantom of the Opera House nowadays, very sophisticated machinery in theatres. So magic was theatrical, magic was theatre, theatre was magic. Magic also magicians travelled on vaudeville and also on musical circuits for the first half of the last century, okay. So could also other magicians as well in that period also, I must say as well, including also big stars in the 1930s, Howard Thurston, the big Broadway illusionist as well, along with David Devant in early 20th century, 1920s. Magic with Kindness, big UK magician, invented many tricks, including Devant's Triangle. Great inventive illusionist of magic. Also, there was also an American magician called Theodore Anaman as well. Post World War I, pre World War II magician was big. And also, legendary cousin magician from royalty celebrities, Max Malini as well, of course, as well. Big magician, okay, as well. Also, Harry Kellar was a big magician illusionist around about Houdini's time. And also Herman the Great, another big magician man, Houdini's time, early 20th century. Masklin, of course, Masklin Devant show, 1920s in London. Masklin Devant, one of the great thinkers and authors of magic, including the Devant Masklin Award, Magic Circle. He's great. Also, I think late 19th century, Anna Houdini's period, and Robert Houdin's period is Johann Nepomuk Hofzinser. He was a great card guy. Pioneer sophisticated card magic and salon conjuring. Hofzinser wrote a couple of good books, Hofzinser as well. So they were great. There were other great guys around Houdini's period, including, of course, Fred Kapp's 1960s, 70s magician, very technically strong Dutch magician. Also, of course, Chan Canaster as well. He was I think he's a 1950s amazing mind reader, an American kind of guy, Chan Canaster. These are all really great magicians, 20th century magicians. You may not even heard of some of these guys, but these are some of the strong guys over the 20th century that came into magic. So big names of the early 20th century in magic: Harry Houdini, Howard Thurston, okay, and also Chung Lin Soo. Chung Lin Soo was a guy who was American, who dressed up like a Chinese guy on stage, and he did produce goldfish and bowls and that kind of stuff. He used to produce piles of goldfish bowls full of goldfish. Chung Lin Soo, and he did the bullet catch, as you all know probably. He was doing it in 1917, 1918, on the stage at the Wood Green Empire, North London. He was going to catch a bullet on a china plate, and he missed. The bullet shot him dead on stage. Today, people don't know, even today, don't know whether it was what happened, but he got shot dead doing the bullet catch. The bullet catch was a great trick. Chung Lin Soo made his actor bullet catches, who unfortunately killed him, and it killed quite a few other people as well, bullet catches. It's done today by people like David Blaine and Penn and Teller did the bullet catch too. So bullet catch is a great trick. Chung Lin Soo did it 110 years ago or so, didn't he? and it killed him in North London. In fact, that death of Chung Ling-soo is one of the most significant deaths in all of magic history, because it was really quite showing how dangerous magic and art can be if it's taken to that kind of level, very much dangerous level. So that was interesting about Chung Ling-soo. So read about Chung Ling-soo. But during the 20th century, a lot of performers, from P.T. Selbit to Howard Thurston, others came along over that period. Okay, there was also, of course, Dante. He was a great, elegant magician. This is during the sort of World War II period, wasn't it? 1930s, 40s. Dante, a long white beard, was elegant king of magic, and these big magicians did big shows, around the world, and toured the world with these really big shows. And also, of course, Kellar in Germany was very big. He did a very famous levitation. Kellar's levitation was the great levitations of all time. It was performed by Paul Daniels in the 1980s on television. Google it, Kellar levitation. Kellar also, very tragically, was associated with the Nazi Party, actually, and was said to be a Nazi. But in fact, as I say, he was in the Third Reich and all this business. But he was a big magician in Germany, but not a nice person to talk about particularly. But he was a big magician, and magic tend to gloss over how magic was got sucked into certain areas. But magic as an art of trickery, deception, conjuring, is nothing to do with the occult side of stuff. It really was just trickery all the time. There was nothing to do with occultism at all in magic. There was also a lot of people doing mind reading. There was a lot of differences in magic. Certainly other magic grew up during the period of card magic, coin manipulations, mentalism, psychological illusions. And there's big performers like Di Vernon, of course, a big American magician who really invented magic in the 20th century, cards and coins, and did amazing cups and balls routines. Di Vernon also, one magician's a bit like him, like Juan Tamariz in the last 20, 30 years, a bit like Di Vernon in some ways. So really magic has gone through those areas, and we know there were many big performers and magicians. There was also other escape artists in Houdini style, like Murray. I think he lived in North England. He was escape Houdini type magician. There was also Alan Allen, of course. He did the upside down bunny escape from the rope with the rope and fire. That's Alan Allen. He taught me magic in the 1980s. Alan Allen, yes, Alan Rabinovitz. He ran a shop in West London in Holborn called the Magic Spot. I went there about 100 times during the 1980s. He also invented Mike Vincent. So Alan Allen was a little Houdini guy, a little Jewish 5'2" Houdini type guy, who was an amazing magician and escape artist. Alan Allen was very, very influential. And he actually did, in the 50s, he buried himself alive, and buried himself underground alive, and escaped alive from a burial chamber. So magic was always evolving these kind of ways. And in the 60s, there were, 50s, 60s, there were some real breakthrough magicians. I mean, Ricciardo, of course, Italian-style magician who influenced Copperfield with his very elegant kind of style of magic. Also, prior to him, technically, there was Cardini with amazing manipulation of balls, cigarettes, and cards, Cardini. And there's a lot of very good footage of Cardini around the place. I remember seeing it when I was a teenager, Cardini. He's thought one of the world's best magic cats, Cardini. He's also as good as a lot of these Southeast Asian guys nowadays who do magic in Southeast Asia, like Shimlin. So Cardini was really influential. He's a World War II period magician, Cardini. And also, there was also, of course, racking my brains, Channing Pollock as well. Channing Pollock, who created doves in early 60s. He had 6 girls on stage with him, and he did amazing dove routines, incredible dove routines. Channing Pollock, the very first dove magician, influenced all those dove magicians you've seen, particularly Lance Burton, of course. So the 60s is really a big era of magic in that kind of way. I mean, this is a brief history of magic, seriously, isn't it? In the 1960s, 70s, magic got on television, and that was a breakthrough. It got on television. When it got on television, magic on television was a big thing because it brought stars to the fore. People like Ricciardo would be seen. Channing Pollock got seen. When the Beatles were on in the 1960s and American TV shows, the Beatles also, Channing Pollock was also on the shows where the Beatles were on. Those kind of acts that showcase the Beatles and the Rolling Stones also showcase magic acts as well. There were quite a few acts, seriously, even some too many to mention, even in this, Obviously, the 70s, Slidini, of course, Slidini was the 40s, 50s, 60s. Brilliant magician. Slidini's the best magician I've ever seen in my life. I love Slidini, watch Slidini. Showcased on television in the 1970s, and Dick Cavett show and the shows like that. And people like John Lennon would appear in these TV shows. in the 70s, and also Slidini was on them too, so watch out Slidini. So Slidini, that guy was something else, wasn't he? Slidini was something else. American Italian magic. Close-up cards, coins to the table, couple star rope routine, ropes, coins. What a brilliant magician, Slidini. Television brought these guys to the fore, and you wouldn't have seen them before unless you're very lucky to see these guys on television. Television showcased magic like anything before. In the UK, David Nixon was very popular. He was a chubby guy, big guy, David Nixon. Very popular in the 70s, but he's long since forgotten. But he's a very good magician. I remember him doing levitations, rising divino, rising cards trick, stuff like that. He was great. But you can also, of course, racking my brains, going back to magic. In the 70s, the big magician on Broadway with the magic shows was Doug Henning. Doug Henning, what a great magician. Hippie, 60s, early 70s hippie guy. Magician, Doug Henning. Big shows, big illusions, floating girls and fountain levitation. Vanishing elephants, reappearing elephants, big illusions. The Three Graces trick with the tiger up at the end from the big box. Those big Christmas specials, Easter specials. Those big shows he did. Those massive magic shows Doug Henning did. Came on to the 1980s. Then he went to politics. Quit TV, was it 83, 84? Quit TV, went to politics, Natural Law Party. Then he died very young. What a brilliant guy though, Doug Henning. Influence, Chris Angel. What a great guy. Great magician. The great hippie guy, wasn't he, Doug Henning? What a brilliant guy, wasn't he, Doug Henning? I just love Doug Henning so much, He was on to the 80s. In the early 80s, of course, late 78, there was also other people on as well. Doug Henning showcased other people as well. Ricky Jay, that's it, Ricky Jay, of course. He showcased Ricky Jay. Ricky Jay was another brilliant magician with throwing cards. He did Flying Aces, so brilliant. Flying Queen, so brilliant, didn't he? And that was on late 70s on television. Ricky Jay, brilliant patter, brilliant comedy patter, bringing comedy and patter with magic. That was brilliant, okay. In America, 1978, David Copperfield appeared. He was about 19, 20 years old and appeared 1977, 78. CBS Television America. Copperfield, this kind of tall, dark-haired, gangly kind of guy from New York, was the area? New Jersey. Broke the mold. He came in and brought Ricciardo style of magic, didn't he? Dance and magic and movement into magic. It's fantastic, And because Copperfield became legendary, his shows, was it 17 magic shows, 1978 to 1995, 2001, I think. Copperfield really took magic up a level on television. He used television to bring magic to the people in a way that hadn't seen before, with bigger and bigger illusions. Doug Henning vanished a motorcycle, Copperfield vanished an airplane. He vanished Statue of Liberty in 1983. He walked through Great Wall of China, as you know, 1986. Alcatraz, Escape from Alcatraz, just like the movie. Copperfield was quite affected by movies, and if he saw a movie, he might try and do magic to it. Escape from Alcatraz, 1987. I think Cocoon and all that stuff influenced probably the Bermuda Triangle, vanishing, reappearing body and appearing boat in Bermuda Triangle in San Juan, 1988. He made an escape from a collapsing building, didn't he? Floated Orient Express carriage. Copperfield probably saw an idea, a movie or something, and turned it into illusion. And eventually Peter Pan Flying Dream, illusion, 1990s. And nobody has done better magic than Copperfield. No one. Copperfield's probably the best magician of all time, along with Houdini. Let me know what you think in the comments below. But he really was. Copperfield was pretty remarkable. In fact, he's the world's richest illusionist to this day. Is he a billionaire in US dollars from doing magic? Imagine that, making $1 billion from doing magic. So Copperfield is, the ultimate magician, really. And I saw him in 1994. I was caught in London with a massive magic show. This guy could do big illusions, beautiful illusions, and of course being cut into the giant buzzsaw, escape at table of death, the spiker illusion. He did, origami box, beautiful, elegant, beautifully timed, romantic magic. Copperfield fused dance, romance, music, pop music, brought pop music, Miami Vice style into popular entertainment. Just like Miami Vice in the 80s brought pop music into television, into cop shows. Copperfield brought pop music into popular television, In the Air Tonight, Phil Collins, Genesis, all that into magic, and brought magic to the people more. So magic needed with big illusions and big things to be brought to the people more, and Copperfield did it. Copperfield only did about 17, 18 big magic shows. But wow, were they magic shows? Check them out. They're all on YouTube, most of them. So you want to learn magic, watch Copperfield, obviously. Also in the UK, of course, Paul Daniels in 1979. The Northern English guy, little guy, became a big star. I think in Europe, Britain, Australia as well, a bit in America, but mainly European areas. Got Paul Daniels with the wig on. Little funny guy. Daniels brought magic to people too. He on BBC Television England, he did 130 magic shows on television. 80s to mid-1990s to about 1995. Daniels did hundreds of magic tricks and tons of magic. And his show on television in the UK was a great place for him and John Fisher, the producer show, to showcase other magicians. Other people appeared on his shows, from Johnny Paul, who was a great Las Vegas card magician in the early 80s. He appeared in the show, a very funny guy. That kind of like Brat Pack type magician, you can imagine that. Johnny Paul, he was on there, and many people. Jeff McBride was on there, Paul Daniels' show. Ricky Jay was on there. Harry Blackstone was on there. So Daniel's show in BBC is an archive on videotape, if you can get it, of those amazing magicians, and Paul Daniels himself with amazing years of magic. 15, is it 18 years of magic? It's a lot of magic, isn't it? A lot of magic for 18 years. And he got criticism. Boy, did he get criticism, Daniels. But he was a funny guy and a brilliant magician. He's also very good at. He's also very, very good, Daniels, at comedy, bringing comedy. Patter with magic. One of the few guys who patter with magic, and people don't know this, but Daniels appeared in 1982 in Las Vegas at Tropicana Hotel, Las Vegas. Apparently was there and performed in Las Vegas. That's how good Daniels was. He was offered a job in Las Vegas permanently, and he turned it down to work at the BBC in England. That's how good Paul Daniels was. I saw him live myself when I was about 1987, when I was about 16, and he was fantastic. Daniels was a tour de force magician. He also holds the longest running show in the Western ever. It's Magic 1981, ran for almost a year and a half. Longest ever running magic show in the West End. Also in the 80s, Paul Daniels maybe ruled it in the UK in some territories with his magic show in the 1980s. He did. There was also a magician called Johnny Hart. He was a big competition. He was a brilliant northern guy who did magic, doves, silks, canes, pairing dogs. Johnny Hart, great magician. He had a show in London as well, believe it or not, called The Magic Castle. Maybe you forgot that, 1984. It was on for quite a few months. Big magic show. A magician called Z was in that as well. Z was in that show too. Hi to Z, if he's still going. So these guys, a lot of these guys are dead. Daniel's dead. They're all dead, but these guys ruled it in the 80s. So I went to all those shows. when I was a young magician myself. Me and Anthony Owen went to some gigs and shows myself. Anthony was a good magician. Of all the magicians I've ever seen in the 80s, Anthony Owen, he was about 16 from Milton Keynes. He's the best magician I've ever seen in my life. He was fantastic. He was like a little Paul Daniels. You know what I mean? Comedy little guy. He could really patter. Comedy patter. Fantastic magician. Anthony Owen. He was young, but he was brilliant. He should have been a big star, but he became a TV producer. What a great. Google Anthony Owen. So magic, okay, has really got us areas. And modern magicians, I mean, if you take the period, I mean, Lance Burton as well, with amazing silks, canes, doves, Lance Burton in Las Vegas. Out of the era, the 80s, you got Madonna, Prince, you got Michael Jackson, pop music. Magic, you've got probably Paul Daniels, Copperfield, Penn and Teller. Penn and Teller taking magic, breaking magic down into comedy magic, giving away secrets a bit, you know what I mean? A bit off the wall, a bit off the cuff. Penn and Teller started in the 80s. They won an award, I think, in Montreux, one of the Roses of Montreux, television Roses of Montreux, for amazing show. Penn and Teller go public. So Penn and Teller have lasted out to these 40 years, and Penn and Teller do acting jobs too. They're really good magicians as well. Penn appeared in Miami Vice. They both appeared in Miami Vice, by the way, if you didn't know that, in the 80s as well. That's a big Miami Vice was. So big magicians there, as you can see over here, guys. So magic has really, evolved many of these things, particularly this period. In psychology, theatre, technology, storytelling, social media in modern times. Magic has changed a bit from TV magic to street magic, mentalism, bizarre magic, immersive performances, digital magic. But digital magic isn't really magic, is it? So taking that period of magicians, in fact, I mean, I could list a huge amount of magicians from the 80s period, let alone, you know, just in that period, from that period alone, you know, that I remember seeing the 80s period. I mean, you can look at Lance Burton, other magicians that were on television at that period in the 80s. David Burglass, brilliant mind reader. Ali Bongo, he was the Shriek of Araby and the Big of Eyes in Magic and television. Also, along with Alan Allen, of course, Mike Vincent, brilliant young black magician, emerged in the 1980s. Okay. Of course, other people as well. Jeffrey Durham, the great soprano, on television a lot in the UK and performed magic on television in the 1990s, the Best of Magic show. The Pendragons, the great Pendragons, were the fastest, most amazing, muscly, brilliant magic acts of all time. Harry Blackstone performing, of course, on television in the UK in the 1980s, floating light bulb. Of course, in Alan Jackson, Eugene Berger with an amazing dark gothic kind of dark magic. And also the magicians that popped up, including, of course, Russ Stevens, and also that period also René Levon, the magician with one arm from Argentina. He popped up to that period, and also so there's a lot of magicians that period that came out in that period. Incredible amount of magicians. Even I can't even get through them all. Another big magician that came out in the UK and he also put in Las Vegas in the late 80s and early 90s. Wayne Dobson from Leicester, the short guy again with the blonde hair. Wayne Dobson, brilliant patter, comedy magician like a la Paul Daniels style. You know, amazing. Did a lot of TV shows, 3 years in ITV in England, 35 years ago. Levitations, vanishings, appearances, made a helicopter appear, amazing cards, coins, brilliant magician. In fact, he's one of the best comedy pattern magicians Britain's ever had. It's Wayne Dobson. And he sadly passed away as well. And of course, in Las Vegas, along with big names, and some television in the 70s and 80s, and in the 90s, Stephen Roy, who had the biggest, most expensive, lavish show ever in the Mirage Las Vegas. Remember Stephen Roy? I saw the show in 1993. That show was unique because of the tigers. They had tons of tigers, didn't they? White Siberian tigers on stage. And it went very well for years and years and years. Performing, I think, with flamingos and other animals, elephant appearing, elephant disappearing. I've done a video on their intricate show and the laser beams. I think the show cost $50-60 million in 1990 or so when it launched. They had shows all through the 70s and 80s. Stephen Roy, brilliant magicians. They also appeared briefly in the film Casino, Martin Scorsese's film Casino, but they're very good magicians. Other side, of course, Manacor, I believe Semi was meant to bit him. Roy, and Roy got sick in 2003, was it? And Roy died, and Seaford died. But they were their show was the great magic show, Las Vegas. And now, mate, it's maybe a new Chris Angel show where I was that. But that was a brilliant era of magic. As I say, guys, we enjoyed that. Okay, that was giving a little history of magic. It's a lot to say about magic. It's a big history, a big subject. Study it, guys. Some big books. Expert the Card Table by Erd Nates, Tarbell's Course of Magic. That's just two books of magic, you know, I can think of. You know, South African Card Tricks by Carl Falls, 30 Steps to Mentalism. Many books of magic, you know. Check out Mike Vincent's videos on amazing card books and card magicians. Everybody, you know what I mean? Many good thinkers out there, seriously magic. From one time erased everyone else. And also Darwin Ortiz and writers like that nowadays. These kind of guys, you know, Darwin Ortiz. I enjoy it, guys. Remember, always love you guys. Please like, please subscribe, please share the videos, please do as always. Share is caring. Without you can't do it, guys. Has some friends around the world, seriously magic, including Charlotte Pendragon over in America. Hi, love you all, guys. See you soon. And more magic to come on the channel, hitting 1 million views and 45,000 hours of views. Keep going, guys. Keep it going. Without you, I can't do it, guys. I hope I can bring some of my 45 years of magic experience to you on YouTube to make your life a bit better, guys, and learn more about magic for you, okay? I hope maybe you can use this video if you want to learn a bit more about the history of the art of magic a bit. Love you all, guys. See you soon, guys. From me, hi to my friends out there, seriously, including Lee and also Mark and Raji. And Alex as well, and also the guys out there. Love you all. I'll see you soon. And Anita too, and Luke and Harry. Love you all. I'll see you soon. Share the video, like, subscribe, and bye for now.